And welcome back to the show, Dr. Arthur Langston of Integrity Spine and Joint Center. Good to see you.
Hey, Dave. Good to see you, man. Thanks for having me back.
Well, we've been partnering with you. I think I had you on year number 1.
Yeah, it's been close to 10 years, I think, something like that. How long you been doing it?
This is year number 6.
Oh, okay. I was thinking a little longer than that. So yeah. Probably has been. It's definitely been year 1 then.
Yeah, had you on the very first year, and then we've been partners ever since.
Yes, sir.
Love it. All right, so you are here tonight to talk about, you've got 10 tips for athletes, parents, coaches, anybody who wants to keep their athlete feeling good, injury-free for this entire school year.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's lots of great, lots of things you hear in the media, lots of things you read about. So I kind of try to be concise and sort of take everything that's out there and try to kind of put it together. I mean, you could add things, you could subtract a few things here, but I think this is a pretty good list that will, keep your kids healthy and even your athlete who's, a weekend warrior. I mean, they can follow a lot of these tips too. It'll help them to stay healthy and pain-free, hopefully, for sure.
And are these tips, before we get going with number 1, are they in order of prevalence or prominence or importance or anything? Or are they just is it just kind of all over the place?
I kind of went based on sort of things almost like you could do at home. And then they kind of progress to like when you're on the field, if that makes sense.
Okay,
that's how it kind of worked in my brain when I was putting it together, for sure.
Okay. All right, let's get right into it. What's number 1?
Well, we just talked about it. Sleep. So sleep is a huge thing, right? It's probably the number one thing that across the board, whether you're an athlete or non-athlete, that is not very good. We have a ton of issues with apnea, a ton of issues like that. So some things I talked about is it's really hard, but to try to get to bed at the same time every night, whether it's 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, even on the weekends. It's really important to try to be able to get to bed at the same time every night.
I just read that 20% of the population suffers from some form of insomnia.
I would say for sure. I'd say
crazy. It may not be 20% exactly, but it's close to 20%. It's crazy.
I would say probably even might be underreported, to an extent. Because one of the things that happens when you're at night, there's no external stimulus for the most part. And so your pain, your issues at night, your brain, all those things, there's nothing to distract you. So since you're not getting distracted, anything that's going on, like I said, whether it be a problem, a shoulder problem, a back problem, or, something going on at work even, it's going to cause a lot of, you're really going to feel it or hear it at night.
So go to bed at the same time.
Yeah.
Try to get up at the same time.
Right. Try to get up at the same time. And I know that there's some flexibility there. I actually wear a fitness tracker. It's a Whoop. I don't know if you've ever seen it before. A lot of golfers wear them. And it's kind of nice because it does tell you at night, like, hey, you didn't have a very good recovery day, because it talks about strain and recovery. You may need to go to bed a little earlier to try to get the optimal amount of recovery.
Huh.
It's a relatively inexpensive thing. I just tried it out. I just wanted to see how, mainly for my sleep issue, just not issues, but to track my sleep to see how it went.
And it's Whoop?
Yeah, it's called a Whoop. It's WHOOP, and it looks at pulse ox levels. It looks at skin temperature. It looks at, it's got an accelerometer. So it's a really inexpensive, I think it's like, I don't know, $25-$30 a month, something like that. They actually have an advanced one now that does EKGs and all those kind of things. But the baseline one is pretty good for, and from an athletic perspective, I mean, like I said, golfers are using them like crazy, but a lot of other people, you can get one that goes on your bicep versus your wrist. I just prefer the one on my wrist for the most part. So that's a big one. I know we were talking about, reading books, right? And Dave over here tells me that he reads paper books, and that kind of brought me into the idea of, screen time. Really, before bed, you probably should try to limit screen time within an hour before going to bed. Now, there are some caveats to that. You could potentially use the blue light blocking glasses. You could use my phone actually has a screen protector that does block blue light. So that's going to have somewhat of a positive effect to try not to be so stimulating before bed. But the constant scrolling on Facebook and stuff like that really you should try to limit that within an hour before going to bed, for sure.
Television, phone, computer. Right. Let's get away from the screen for at least an hour before we try to go to sleep.
100%. Yeah, it's probably one of the best things that you could do from that perspective. And like I said, at minimum, if you're the type that's like, oh, I like to read on my phone or
Kindle.
Kindle. Yep. And I know some of the Kindles do a really good job of blocking that, but it's really just more about the stimulus in conjunction with the blue light. So at least if you can limit the blue light and try to kind of limit your stimulus to maybe just reading or something like that, that's probably okay. But definitely the constant scrolling and the constant stimulus is going to have an issue.
Because you're looking at some Facebook group and then it gets you all riled up and now you're upset. Now it's going to be harder for you to go to sleep. It just makes sense.
Yeah.
So really number 2 kind of goes with number 1.
Exactly.
Sleep, and you got to separate yourself from the screens.
Right. And yeah, honestly, I really kind of have all these sort of under that sleep category really as number 1. And the last thing I like a lot for people who have sleep issues, and it's really a good supplementation thing across the board, is taking magnesium. It's really good for muscle function. It's really good for cognitive issues. It's good for your heart, but it has a very relaxing, and I'll kind of talk a little bit more about it later when we talk about recovery, but it has a very relaxing component to it. So before bed, one of the things I recommend people do a lot is you can take 2 cups of Epsom salt. It's really inexpensive. Don't buy the expensive stuff. Get the cheapest one you can find. 2 cups in a bath, 20 minutes. And some people are like, man, I can hardly but I fell asleep in the bathtub almost. I mean, it's just very relaxing. And there's some other things, like I said, I'll talk about in a minute. But
so you're going to make me tell my wife she's right.
Probably.
She takes these Epsom salt baths, and I'm like, come on, what is that? That's nothing. Why do you do?
It's legit, Dave. I promise you.
It really makes a difference.
It really does. It really does. It's very, very anti-inflammatory, but also very relaxing. It's a great way to absorb magnesium because it's not going through your digestive system. It absorbs in through your skin. Very relaxing, very calming. It's a great way to get to sleep. Better than warm milk, I promise.
I'm going to have to apologize again.
Dave, you kind of look like are you a warm milk guy?
No. Chamomile tea.
Oh, chamomile tea.
And I do a little, never mind. I don't do any of that.
Yeah, so sleep, like I said, those are the big ones. Same time every night, hopefully same time in the morning. Limit that screen time, at least with some blue blocking if you have to. And the magnesium is a really good way to relax at night. Even if you're just going to supplement it. I mean, supplementing is fine. But I love the Epsom salt soak. It's really good.
All right. She's right. Stacy knows best. All right. I love it.
So number 2 I have is hydration. Okay. Especially it's going to be getting hot. Well, it's already been hot, right? But it's going to be, hot. And the one thing that I tell people a lot is I have written down here, not just water. So everybody thinks that I just need to drink water all day. Well, you actually need electrolytes to be able to balance your hydration system, let's just say. So there's a lot of options out there. You've got Liquid IV. There's a couple other ones out there that might be a little better than Liquid IV just because I have on here, limit your sugar intake. Unfortunately, Gatorade is definitely not my favorite one for sure. Liquid IV, Liquid IV is probably good. They make some low sugar ones. Believe it or not, just some good Celtic sea salt or pink Himalayan sea salt is okay. Celtic, I think, is probably a little better. A couple of pinches in and some water. I like to get also, you can get the dehydrated lime juice. It's called Pure, I believe it's called. And you put a little bit of that in there. And you do a little pinch of salt, a little bit of that. And it kind of makes sort of like a, Gatorade or whatever you want to call it. And very hydrating that way. Also, you get some of the vitamin C and some of the first stuff like that from the dehydrated lime juice or lemon juice, whatever you prefer. So that's probably a better idea. But like I said, just the idea of just drinking water. I mean, don't get me wrong, that's beneficial, but you need those electrolytes to really balance that hydration system.
And you're talking about what you drink all day, not just what you drink at night.
Absolutely. And hydration starts from first thing in the morning, all the way through practice, all the way through school, all the way to bed.
Prehydrate and rehydrate so that you don't
dehydrate. Exactly. Yeah. Super big. It's kind of crazy that how Gatorade started, right? Gatorade, when it first started, it was pretty good. I'm not trying to pick on them. It's just, they started putting in too much stuff and they tried to make it too cool, and they really would be better off to go back to the old. Even some pickle juice is actually pretty good from a hydration perspective. You could actually buy gallon jugs of pickle juice at like sports medicine outlets. Like I have like a book where I can buy like different things like tape and stuff like that. And you can just buy just pickle juice
Wow.
Yeah, stuff like that.
So that was almost like a cultural myth, I thought at first, when people were like, no, drink pickle juice, because tennis players have issues with muscle cramps.
Oh, yeah.
So people were drinking pickle juice, but there's science behind that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's the salt, right? I mean, it really is the salt. A little bit of sugar, usually in your pickling juice. I know when I was, I worked a little bit with Mizzou, doing some laser therapy treatments, kind of helping them do some education. And I got to be on the sideline. And that was when Pinkel was there. And right before they would go out on the field, hopefully this isn't a secret or anything, but the entire team, the trainers, the head coaches, the assistant coaches, we all got a shot of pickle juice, and everybody did it at the same time before we went out on the field.
I like it. Good stuff.
Must have been their secret, I guess. I don't know.
Pickle juice.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid of pickle juice.
Yeah, it's all right. So next thing I have is diet, right? So we all know diet is super important, and I know it's hard this day and age with, everybody's on the run, everybody's going, everybody's fast, quick. I talk about using, getting your protein, making sure you have plenty of protein during the season, make sure you have plenty of protein. Chicken obviously is our favorite because it's pretty lean, it's pretty healthy, but red meat gets a bad rap sometimes. It's not really necessarily that bad for you in moderation, of course. Fish is going to be amazing. Believe it or not, and this people always laugh at me when I tell them this, sardines is probably the best fish that you can eat. And literally you just a little sardine, a little cracker. Some people say, no way. Dave's laughing over here.
No, I'm smiling because one of my best friends has this for lunch every day.
Yeah.
This is what he has every day. I'm like, what do you eat, man? He's so fit. I'm like, what do you eat? He's like, just sardines. Mm-hmm. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, I get a can and I eat it, and he mushes it all up to cracker with the sardines together. Yep.
Yeah, that's probably one of the best proteins that you could eat. And I tell people all the time that if I won't lie and say the smell can be rough, but the flavor's not bad. Yeah. The flavor's not bad.
Well, if you don't like fish, you're not going to like canned sardines.
Right.
But you can get it in the grocery store.
Right. Oh, yeah. Totally. 100%. So good complex protein for sure. Make sure you're going to need more in season during, obviously when you're growing, you're going to need some, but you're tearing that muscle down every day when you're in season. So you're going to need a lot of protein to an extent. And then, of course, complex carbohydrates. Stay away from the sugars. I mean, I remember guys used to do like shots of honey and that kind of stuff. Like that's maybe a quick fix, like if you're in a race or something like that. But you really need to use your complex, your multigrains, your sprouted bread. I don't know if you ever heard of Ezekiel bread, but Ezekiel bread's a really good complex bread. So just a lot of that from a carbohydrate perspective is very important to make sure that you have that other fuel to not only build that protein, but also to burn those calories correctly.
That's good information especially if you're packing a lunch.
Right.
If you are buying your lunch at school, you're at the mercy of what they have there for you.
Correct.
But you can still be selective.
Absolutely. And
you can pick healthier options
right
for your athletic schedule.
Right.
So important.
Yeah, no, that's super good. And then the last thing I have on here is just from a diet perspective is your macros. So you just got to make sure you're watching your fat, make sure you're watching your protein, watching your carbohydrates. And that's a little different for everybody. You can go to some very reputable sites. You can actually even use Chat GPT, even I don't know how many people are using that, but you can put on there, I'm a 17-year-old male and I practice 3 days a week and 2 hours here. What would be a good protein, carbohydrate, fat macro? And a lot of times they can figure that out for you. Or you, like I said, there's some websites you can do it too. But the Chat GPT is pretty interesting for that. I don't know how much. Do you use it much, Dave?
I'm starting to use it more. Mm-hmm. And the kids in my class use it when they need to write something for my class. And then I have to remind them not to do that.
Yeah, I actually gave a presentation at a gym last week and we were talking about it was, I guess 2 weeks ago, how to use ChatGPT for your macros and for your performance. And it's interesting. I mean, it's pulling a lot of information from the web that unless you're really talking directly to a professional, you could never pull that information, not just being a normal person. So
awesome
to pull that all together like that, it's pretty beneficial.
Okay. Use Chat GPT to create your diet.
Yeah.
Why
yeah,
not?
Yeah. And again, like I put on here, nutrient dense foods like, broccolis, cauliflowers, spinach, like I talked about, fish, chicken, anything that's good that you think is going to be nutrient dense and healthy. Our society is pretty educated from that perspective. Stay away from candy and white bread and, all those kind of things. Stay away from fast food. I hate to say it, but when I was in high school, we used to get McDonald's before we would play football games. What a terrible idea that was. But we were 16, 17, 18-year-old kids. We didn't know, at the time, we didn't know any better.
I feel like the pregame meal is a little bit overhyped. Like, to me, if you eat terrible food all week and then you have a great pregame meal, it doesn't matter.
No, you're right.
Whereas if you eat well all the time, your pregame meal, you want to eat something smart, obviously, not something that's going to make you sick, but it's your overall diet that matters more than that pregame meal.
Right. Yeah, I think the difference, what I would say to that is optimal performance versus just at least fueling for the game. If you eat garbage all week, you're not going to have optimal performance no matter what you eat before the game. But at least if, I say it's at least, but whatever you eat before the game is going to at least hopefully fuel you for the game. So I would say that's kind of the big difference there.
Good stuff. So we got sleep, hydration, diet.
Next, got movement screens. Okay, so this is something that you can talk with your trainers, you can talk to your physical therapists, talk to chiropractors, or some anyway, and basically just trying to make sure, putting you through the process of making sure you got good hip flexibility, making sure your squat is good, making sure your hip extension's good, making sure your shoulder rotation is good, making sure thoracic spine, mid-back rotation. So basically, you're just having somebody go through the process with you. And there's what's called functional movement systems. There's a bunch of different ones. But any personal trainer, any athletic trainer, some chiros, some PTs would be able to assess you and say, hey, look, here's this, here's that, here's this. This is, you're restricted here. This isn't working correctly. So those are going to be all really good things that are going to help you to prevent any kind of an injury from the season.
So do you recommend people talk to their trainer, just people who've never had an injury, and say, hey, am I doing this right?
Absolutely. One thing I tell people a lot is you take you're the best athlete in the world, right? The most, we used to talk about, Tom Brady, Tiger Woods, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, whoever. Those guys are not really functionally perfect by no means. They're very good at compensating to get to that rim, to dunk the ball, to throw a pass 70 yards, right? But they're not really functionally perfect. So you can't think of like, oh, well, those guys don't get hurt very often because they're blah, blah, blah. They're not. And so imagine a kid who's a 17-year-old who's never had the training, who's never had the assessment that Michael Jordan's had. He's really probably going to have some functional deficits. And I could go for days talking about, or at least hours anyway, talking about just how the things that we do from a developmental perspective. We sit all day long. We don't work that thoracic extension because we don't do as much tummy time when we're babies like we used to. And, all those different parts. So when I see a lot of 13, 14-year-old kids who have those issues because that's all they do all day long is they sit in a chair. They sat in one of those little mom seats when they were babies. They sit on their phone all day. And so they have that really big flexion in their thoracic spine, just to name one, right? One example. And that's why they have shoulder problems. That's why they have hip problems. That's why they have back problems. That's why they have headaches. They have all those issues because of that.
We need to sit less.
We definitely need to sit less. Some people would tell you that sitting is kind of the new smoking. Is it from a cardiovascular perspective? I've seen studies and research that talks about for like every 30 minutes that you sit, I take that back. For every hour that you sit, you should do about 30 minutes of cardio or 30 minutes of some kind of activity. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not doing enough cardio.
And that's just from a cardiovascular perspective. That's a heart thing. That doesn't include what it does to your back, what it does to your hips, what it does to everything else that's happening while you're sitting.
Interesting stuff.
So a movement screen is super huge. And again, for the most part, most trainers, most personal trainers, most athletic trainers, some chiros, some PTs are all going to be able to do that. They're going to be able to at least give you a baseline of, hey, this is a problem, or this is a problem.
Sounds good. Okay.
Next thing I have is, so this will be number 5. I have progressive load. And basically, this is a really short, simple one. It just means don't sit on the couch all summer and then show up the first day of practice, right? You have to, I mean, that's why I like professional athletes. I mean, they never stop. Do they get an off season? Of course they do. But they're constantly working and loading and running and proper recovery. And they're, like I said, they're not taking off all off season and then showing up day 1 to 2 a days, back in the day, and be like, okay, I'm ready to go, coach. Yeah. Like, you have to continuously build up to whatever it is you're doing.
Because that's when I see a lot of injuries too, is that first week.
Right.
Kids who haven't trained in the summer.
Yep.
And we're all doing, we're all working really hard, and the kids who have prepared are thriving, and the kids who haven't. So, what advice do you give kids and coaches, if they haven't put the work in, they just can't do it? You cut it back for them? What do you do?
Well, I don't think there's enough time, to be quite honest with you. I don't think there's enough time in these seasons. I mean, seasons are very quick. I mean, I'm sure it's,
tennis, we just talked about, it's like 10 weeks.
Yeah. There's not time. You kind of have to sink or swim to an extent. I don't want that to sound too harsh, but if you're not putting in the time in the off season, you're probably not going to put in enough time in 3 weeks, let's say a preseason, to really be at your optimal level. Now, there may be some guys out there that are good enough that can do that, but most people, that's not going to happen.
I think the point that you're making that I think is a good one is, if you're not training in the off season, you're not just diminishing your skills, but you are also increasing the likelihood of a potential injury.
Oh, 100%. And that's something kind of, I think I'll talk about a little bit later, is the fact that, if you play tennis, you don't have to play tennis all day long, 5-7 days a week in the off season, but you need to be doing cross training, being in the gym, running, swimming, playing pickleball. Maybe, I know it's a little bit like tennis, but just different things like that to cross train. And if you're a runner, then you need to be, doing lateral movements. Maybe you do want to play tennis if you're a runner, different things like that. So if you're not, again, progressively loading that tissue to the point of peak, you're going to have problems without a doubt.
That's good stuff. Good stuff. All right, I'm going to call a timeout right now.
Okay.
We're halfway through it. And I want to thank partner Cassens Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram, the #1 place to purchase a vehicle in the Metro East. If you're in the market for a new or a pre-owned car, check out Cassens inventory in person, where they've been for 30 years, or online at Cassens.com. Cassens has earned the highest ratings for customer service. Their expert staff is committed to making your car buying experience enjoyable, including convenient on-site financing. I've purchased 5 vehicles there. See that Gladiator Jeep out there? That's mine. Did you see it out there?
I saw it.
That's mine. I bought it there, and I will not purchase a vehicle anyplace else. With over 90 years of experience in the Metro East, Cassens is the clear-cut leader for quality, service, and customer satisfaction. Go see Steve, Cliff, Holly, Greg, Bob, Mike, or Evan today. How's your air conditioner working these days? Is it working?
Oh, great? If anybody who comes to my office knows that the air conditioner, thank God, works very well for me.
Okay,
for me.
If you ever have an issue, I got the place for you. No matter what the temperature, Viviano Heating and Air Conditioning has your emergency calls and maintenance services covered. Viviano is a family-owned and operated company proudly serving the Metro East for over 30 years. Viviano provides quality heating and cooling services, including repairs, installation, and maintenance. Looking for a new furnace or AC unit? Need emergency service or maintenance? What are you waiting for? Call to schedule a service appointment with Viviano today at 618-345-7498 or visit them online at vivianoair.com. And since 2014, Snap Mobile has supported athletic and activity programs nationwide with reliable fundraising and administrative solutions. Snap Mobile has helped schools and coaches raise nearly $1 billion for their teams. $1 billion. Former Belleville East coach and athletic director Jim Loyette is your local Snap Mobile rep. So if you're a coach, an AD, or a parent looking for a 100% hassle-free way to raise funds for a team, group, or organization, give Jim a call at 618-910-1781. I've personally worked with Snap Mobile, and I'm sold on the process, the professionalism, and the results. All right. We're up to tip number 6.
Number 6.
For athletes, parents, coaches, anybody that wants to have a safe, healthy 25-26 athletic year. Go for it.
Dynamic warm-ups. So this is a thing that has really, I think, for the most part, been accepted. I think we understand the days of the static stretching, which I may talk about in a few minutes here, but the days of static stretching are over. Trying to lengthen a muscle 10 minutes before you're going to use it is just not very functional. It's not very feasible, right? What you want is you want that muscle to be warm. You want that muscle to hopefully have optimal sort of lengthening. So what we mean is we know that that muscle is only going to be able to go so far at any point in time. So by doing some of the dynamic warm-up movements, we're hoping to just at least take that muscle to that end range, but in a dynamic fashion, and hopefully bring blood flow to the area. So we're getting the heart rate up, we're getting the body warmed up, we're getting that optimal muscle lengthening, and just getting that muscle ready to be utilized the way we want it to.
And there is a link between those movements in the movement screens.
Of course,
so
absolutely.
When you talk about when your physio or your doctor or your trainer talks to you about moving more efficiently and moving properly, those movements need to be addressed in that dynamic warm-up.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So you're if you have a hip extension problem, if you have a hamstring problem, when you're doing those dynamic movements, you're going to be heavily focused on those particular positions or movements.
I know in tennis, we're all doing dynamic warm-ups now. Nobody is standing and stretching before the matches begin anymore.
Yeah.
But we do stretch afterwards.
Right. And I'll talk a little bit about that recovery in a minute for sure.
How long should the dynamic warm-up last, typically? Ballpark it.
I mean, a lot of it depends on your atmosphere. You know, if it's 100 degrees outside and you're playing tennis or you're playing football, it's going to be very easy to get that muscle warmed up. It's going to be very easy to get that blood flow going, that cardiovascular system rocking. If it's 40 degrees outside at a soccer field, a little bit different. But I'm going to say most 15 to 20 minutes probably for the most part. I tell my athletes all the time, like, you know, even if you're inside a gym, sometimes gyms can be cold.
Yeah.
You know, you have a warm up for a reason. You know, you have a jacket, you have pants for a reason. Wear it while you're warming up so you are keeping the body temperature warm. You're keeping the body going. That's why we wear them. Well, supposed to wear them.
And for coaches, that's why you show up early.
Yes.
So you don't shortchange that warm up.
Absolutely.
Show up early and you take your time
Yes.
and go through everything so that you are ready to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that dynamic warm up should be complete, total body.
Totally. Yeah. Head to toe, shoulders, neck, mid back, low back, hips, knees, feet. And then again, like I said, just the cardiovascular aspect of it.
And we do a little TheraBand too.
Right. So yeah, shoulders, elbows. Yeah, like I said, pretty much every joint in some form or another. You're gonna, you know, you may not do it as much if you're playing soccer. You know, you might not be seen guys out there doing TheraBand. Right. But
baseball player as well.
Oh yeah, yeah. So that's, you know, a little bit of an exception to the rule, but for the most part, most other sports, you're gonna pretty much want to do head to toe.
Sounds good. All right. Number 7,
I have recovery. Recovery is huge. I do have ice written on here. You know, a lot of times people are into the ice baths. You know, to an extent, I think a recovery using ice is okay. But from an injury perspective, that I may talk about it in a little bit down below, we don't do ice as much as we used to.
Really?
So ice restricts blood flow, and lack of blood flow could be lack of healing. That's where, again, the magnesium that I talked about, the Epsom salt, I love because you're still pulling fluid out of the area. You're pulling inflammation out, but you're not restricting blood flow. You're still allowing for blood flow. So we still kind of say like, okay, within 72 hours, yes, go ahead and you can ice if you rolled an ankle or you have a contusion or something. But man, as soon as 72 hours is up, we want to go either to just nothing from that perspective, or we want to go to Epsom salt, some kind of thing that's going to bring those healing things back to that area. So ice is more just sort of
immediate,
thing. And again, like I said, you know, after a long day, Maybe, you're just finishing up after a long practice. You just got back into it and the body's very inflamed head to toe. Okay, ice, I can get on board with doing that. But just on a consistent thing, Epsom salt would be better than ice for sure.
Love it.
And then also just a few other little recovery things that I put on here. Like we talked about cross training, right? So if I'm a runner, then I want to be working on my lateral movements. If I'm a tennis player, maybe I want to be working on my running, or maybe I want to work on strength training. All that cross training, swimming, all those things are so good to really even do in season, because they are, maybe you take a day and you say, hey, it's Sunday, I'm going to take a day off, but I'm going to cross train. So I'm still keeping my cardiovascular system going. I'm still keeping my muscles moving, but I'm not increasing that repetitive use issue that I could.
So on Sunday, you're saying tennis players to go out and do something CrossFit would be okay? Because
yes.
I'm usually like, the less you do on Sunday, the better. I don't really want you to do a lot because we do so much 6 days a week. I like them to have one day where they're not doing anything.
Right. Totally. And I get what you're saying, but I'm just meaning any day off that you have.
Okay.
If you want, if you're going 6 days a week, maybe you do take 7 days and you do nothing, right? But if you're practicing maybe 5 days a week and you get that 6th day and you're like, I got nothing going on, let's not do tennis again. Let's do swimming. Let's do running. Let's do something that's going to cross train the body.
And the coaches need to incorporate some of those other things within their training also.
Right. Yeah. Especially your sports. Like I said, tennis can be a fairly lateral movement, heavy, even, football, stuff like that, just anything that can cross train. I mean, swimming is an awesome thing to do, really. It's because it's very, it's anti-gravity basically because you're floating, and it still works all the muscles, the cardiovascular system, and it's not going to continue on that repair or, wear and tear.
Love it. All right, cool. And I think that the sleep is a big part of the recovery.
Right.
And the diet's a big part of the recovery too.
Yeah. I even threw on here massage and yoga. Massage is a really great thing that's going to help with recovery. Yoga is kind of in that cross training world. You could do that on an evening or a weekend when you don't have anything going on that would really help with your cross training and recovery as well. Shout
out to Vive Yoga Studio, which has been doing yoga. My kids have been doing yoga for over a decade.
Yep.
So we were like early on the yoga thing because I saw it as deep stretching.
Yep.
Core strength. I thought it was. I feel like it's fantastic. And
the breathing side of it is huge.
Breathing it, all of it's good. And there is so much great free yoga out there on YouTube.
Oh, totally.
Adrian just kills it. I mean, I do yoga with her all the time.
Yep.
She's fantastic. Yeah. I think yoga is fantastic.
And if you're not a plug or anything, but if you're into you want to do something more manly, you know who DDP is, right? He's a former pro wrestler. And he's got his own yoga out there. So if you want something a little bit, you feel like making it a little more manly, I guess.
I don't know. I don't feel like I need to be more manly in my yoga. I feel like I'm pretty manly in it, and I love Adrian. So.
That's
all right,
great.
I'll look up DDP.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. He's just like I say, former pro wrestler, so it's just kind of funny to see him doing it.
That sounds good. All right.
So I got number 8 here, and this is a big one. Listen to the professionals around you. So whether it be, when I was an athlete in high school, not in college, of course, but in high school, we didn't have an athletic trainer on staff. You were listening to either the coach who sometimes had the knowledge, but sometimes didn't. And you may have gotten a physical therapist who would come on the sidelines to a game, maybe not even every game. Right. And so the staff that all these schools have now, it's such a resource, use them, talk to them about things like, hey, what can I be doing in the off season? What can I be doing to make me faster, to make me better? That's what those guys are so good at. And so whether it's a personal trainer, whether it's a physical therapist, whether it's a athletic trainer, having a sports medicine background is important. I'm like I said, I'm a chiropractor, but I also have a master's in sports medicine. And so that allows me to have some knowledge that not all of my colleagues do. Yeah. We definitely I have knowledge that a lot of don't. And I've been in experiences, a lot of different things. I've been on the sidelines of football games. I've been around tons of running. I've been around triathlons. I've been around so much stuff that we do have some knowledge and can give information that not every, coach or not every person can give. So make sure that, if you're talking with somebody, they should have a book, right? Or they should have something that says, oh, wow, you do this, and hey, you do that, and you do this, you do that. Those are going to be your ones you're really going to want to pick their brains on. But of course, like I said, I mean, if you're the schools around here that have athletic trainers on staff, you have an amazing resource, but the athlete has to take it upon themselves to go get to that resource.
And you have the experience of being an all-state football player and a state champion wrestler too. So you got the medical background,
right?
But you've also sat where that kid, that athlete is sitting,
right?
So you know about their desire to get back on the field,
right? And
how they may not see the whole picture. They may not see how their diet and their sleep is affecting their health on the field,
for sure.
etc.
Yeah, and I talk about that all the time. Is our goal is to do everything we can to keep that athlete on the field, but safely. And so, I'm like, look, if you want to shut yourself down for 2 weeks and not do all these things, then yeah, you may feel better, you may heal, but if you want to continue to try to be able to play, you have to do X, Y, Z. And so that's a big selling point from most of the athletes. Like, hey, yes, I still want to be out there, I still want to play, I still want to do this thing. So what do I have to do to get me out there? And talking about being in their place, right? I have sports psychology on here. That's a big component. You look at golfers, for example. It's just kind of in my head because I've been watching golf a little bit lately, more than usual, I guess you could say. And all those guys probably have talked to a sports psychologist sometime in their life. And that has an effect on how you perform, how you recover. And there's a mental side of being injured. If you think to yourself like, oh man, this injury, here we go again. I'm hurt again. That will have an effect on how you perform, how you improve, how you rehabilitate, and how you get back out there on the field. So psychology is a huge part of it. So you may not everybody can probably afford to go get a sports psychologist, but there's some online resources that are very good. And at least if nothing else, talking to people who maybe have been in your place.
Mental toughness training for sports, inner game of tennis. Tom Brady said inner game of tennis changed the trajectory of his career.
Sure.
It is a fantastic mental toughness book, and it totally will have an effect on how you play physically, for sure.
Yep. Let's see. Number 9, I have listened to your body. All right. This is one that even me being in the sports world and working out my own and doing my own things, it is hard sometimes. When you have a nag, when you have a pain, when you have an issue, you have a stiffness, a tightness, that's your body giving you that signal like, hey, there's something not right here. And if we push through it and it goes away, well, okay, that's maybe one thing. But if that continuously is there, it's there, there's a problem there that's going to become a big problem. And unfortunately, I was actually talking with a patient today about, we have such a negative connotation about pain. Oh, pain, I just want it to go away. I don't want it to be there. But pain it's a signal. It's telling you that there's a problem. It's telling you there's something going on. There's actually a condition, I can't remember the name of what it's called, where you don't feel pain. And it's a very serious thing because you stub your toe, you get an infection, next thing you know, you got gangrene, next thing you know, you die. Or, oh, I got chest pains. You don't know because you don't feel pain. Next thing you know, you die, right? So pain has a very important part of what we do. We have to listen to it when it's there, without a doubt.
That's great. That's good stuff. And number 10.
So I just kind of have equipment and apparel. So what we want to talk about is all your equipment, all your apparel, everything that you're doing. Okay, those are very important to how you function. Whether it's the proper breathability of your clothing. I think for the most part, we all agree that, Under Armour, Nike, all that performance apparel gear, all that gear is going to help us to functionally be able to do everything we need to do properly. So that's huge. Shoes, I have shoes on here. The thing about with shoes is you have to have the proper shoes, the proper footing they have to fit right. They have to be right. They have to move right. They have to have all those things. If they don't, then you're going to have problems. You're going to have pain. You're going to have dysfunction. You're not going to perform to the highest level that you need to. And
especially like you cannot play tennis in running shoes.
Right, 100%.
First day, I always send somebody home, hey, you're in the wrong kind of shoes. You're going to hurt yourself. Yep. Those shoes are made to go north and south.
Exactly.
And tennis, you have to go every direction. You can't wear those.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So proper footwear, proper apparel, that is very important. I mean, if you're wearing a thick cotton shirt and you're out when 100-degree weather, you're not going to function very well. I mean, that's like I said, that's how the Under Armour guys, that's where they started. I mean, it's crazy if you think about it. There really wasn't a lot of dry fit before Under Armour. Now everybody has it, right? I mean, every brand known to man makes dry fit, but Under Armour pretty much put everybody on the map from that perspective. I mean, they held everybody to the fire to an extent.
And you believe in it. You think a cotton T-shirt is not ideal?
If
it's hot,
right. So believe it or not, though, some of the new cotton that they're playing with a little bit has the way they weave it. It actually has been shown to be fairly breathable compared to, say, a polyester. But I still don't think it's quite there yet. The good thing about cotton to an extent is it does absorb sweat a lot. Whereas like with, polyester, it's raining off your body. So to an extent, I mean, they both have their place. And I think we may come to a day where cotton can be used more than it is, but really from a dry fit perspective,
gotcha.
It's still pretty important.
And I think football is a big sport where your equipment can keep you healthy.
Well, that's what I have. I have pads, I have braces, like soccer players, you got to have optimal fitting shin guards. It sounds silly to think about, but there's a fitting process. There's a function to those. Your football players, whether it's the proper padding, just all those aspects are very important to how you function, because if you don't have something right, you're going to have problems.
Yeah. What are the other sports that have equipment? Soccer,
lacrosse,
football? Yeah,
lacrosse,
ice hockey.
Yeah, ice hockey.
Right.
But even, you can go to the fact of, you could argue with tennis.
Right.
Shoes, but also rackets, golf, golf clubs, wrestling, headgear and shoes. Mm-hmm. All those things are sometimes I think maybe we take for granted a little bit, because it's like, oh, yeah, I gotta have a tennis racket, or oh, I gotta have a golf club. But those things do matter. And if you want to be optimal, if you want to be not injury prone, not all those issues, you want those to be functioning at the highest level they can, and equipment matters.
Are high school kids wearing like the big over helmets yet?
I think so. I think some do. But yeah, I think some do. I'm not sure.
I feel like every NFL player is wearing them in practice now.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah. I've been kind of curious. I've seen those quite a bit. I haven't had a chance to research them, but as far as, what the reduction is, from what they believe the reduction is from a concussion perspective, is it, significantly, is it 30%, 50%? I'd be kind of curious to read up on how that helps. But yeah, the definitely the brain or the over helmets would be another kind of optimal thing from a football perspective.
Couldn't hurt.
Oh no, definitely not.
Those are 10 really great tips. Some of them I thought were coming. Did we leave anything out?
I don't think so.
Some of them I thought were coming. Others I had thought of. The progressive load, dynamic warm up. I guess, yeah.
Those Epsom salt soaks. Your wife she knew what she was doing.
She knew what she was doing the whole time, even though she's not wrestling anymore. But anyway, we'll leave her alone. All right. Well, thanks so much for coming.
Oh, hey, thank you for having me. I love it.
That's good stuff, man. All right. Don't be a stranger. And don't forget, you can nominate your favorite team for Integrity Spine and Joint Center Team of the Month, because you brought in more of those beautiful Stanley mugs.
You got it, my friend.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much for sponsoring that program, too.
You're welcome. We appreciate it.
Yep, thanks. And thank you all for listening to the Metro Esports podcast presented by Little Caesars Pizza. And big thanks to guests Chris Eddy, Kyle Kang, and Dr. Langston. And for partners, Cassens, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram, Callaway Home Loans, Keller Williams Marquee, the Blasting Game Group, Integrity Spine and Joint Center, Front Office, Fiduciary Network, Oakbrook Golf Club, Viviano Heating and Air Conditioning, Play It Again Sports Edwardsville, and Snap Mobile. And for my teammates, Social Media Director Kayla Kohlberg, Video Production Assistant Luke Slemmer, and Intern Kala Espen Sheed. Thank you all for listening to the Metro East Sports Podcast, talking all things sports in the Metro East.